Welcome, everybody, finally, to this recap from a pre-recorded session. So this is a pre-recorded recap of a pre-recorded session. Where are we going, I wonder? Well, plan B, and if not plan B, then plan C. What can I say? This is going to be a little bit rushed because today had a problem with the power. You couldn't make it up. You really couldn't. So anyway, thank you very much to our contributors. Let's see what you've got for us in the way of a sort of review of your year so far, and not necessarily your year, of course. There are other options, and here we see straight away that we are dealing with the writer's son, or certainly the son of the person who we will refer to as I. It gets complicated, doesn't it? Now, brilliant use of passive forms, amongst others, in here, as I've got probably a little bit of extra time, because there are 4 pieces. I'll do a sort of bit of live highlighting. So what we've got here, just to show you, look at this, has been made. Great progress has been made. Lovely present perfect passive. And then, even better, if you will, we've got reported passive as well. One of the featured aspects of English from these last couple of months. So very nicely done, formal, very formal indeed. Here is something which I'm going to talk about. We know, well, we're pretty sure that the mistakes refer to the mistakes. The word mistakes here refers to the mistakes made by this son. So you might think, under other circumstances, you might not be able to write in this way, in that other way that that other type of example where this is the fence painted by me, that sort of thing. So we need to be, everybody, of course, needs to be careful. It's not just a mechanical application of passive forms. There has to be the right tone, so that everything's sort of the right register, so that everything sort of agrees. So I'm taking this as being a parent who is writing at a distance from their son. And in that case, I'm sure that's the intention. In that case, every use of passive here flows flows along the same stream, as it were. Now, I won't be able to highlight them all as I go, so apologies for that. I probably missed some, but look at that already. You've got great uses there of passive. Now, here's an underlining. The reason for this underlining is that we could say things in different ways. If, let me underline this all, if we said, oops, oh, I don't want that, I had this problem earlier. His pronunciation had noticeably improved without the word been. That shows us that the pronunciation is getting better and better. But we've got a passive form. That implies to me that the tutor is taking some responsibility for that. So the pronunciation had been improved. And again, if we think of that word by, been improved by who? Perhaps by the son himself, but another agent is likely to be involved. So the pronunciation had been improved implicitly by the tutor. well, I'm going to take that away because we don't need that. That was only to remind me to tell you about that, to deal with that. And then we've got a lovely inversion, very much sort of, I don't know, a cousin or a sister to our conditional forms. We could replace this with if he had not. But here we've got tremendous emphasis, and indeed that level of formality is maintained very well indeed by using an inversion. Terrific. Okay. Now we've got another one of the reported structures there. He is believed to be, and it could sound a little strange, very much like a news report, but we do have this information here. Perhaps the writer, perhaps the I character is being very subtle in what they say, not very, but understated. Perhaps you can do this in all languages, but we can certainly do it in English, where we overstate or understate things. I don't hear from him too frequently. Could mean almost never. It could. So then that would be in keeping again with this very sort of unknown tone here. He's believed to be preparing for something. And then a wonderful, almost a string of forms here. If it were, then we've got that hypothetical form combined with passive, to be taken. You could say, if he took it tomorrow, which is a very nice, regular conditional, but here we've got that high level of formality, again, very evident. Now, another underlining, the use of already, that was one of the words featured in our adverbs of time during the session. Now, of course, this suggests that something has happened sooner than expected or sooner than was believed to be the case or the time. So we've got to think about that and then go back in the text to think, why is this sooner than expected? Does this fit with the rest of the writing? Well, excuse me. Yes, indeed, because because look at this, great progress has been made. Okay, so rapid advancement. To have recently become one of the best learners. Noticeably improved. Practicing every morning. So this really cements in the correct use of this word already. Terrific. But I don't know, perhaps like every parent, we always think that the offspring could do a little better. Come on. Okay, now, intentional or not, here, this is very interesting because we've now got an example of an active sentence or an active clause here, full of passive, and then it hit me. He doesn't boast. He is not said to boast or something along those lines. No, he doesn't boast. Now, boast, some words are very difficult to use in passive, and so that could be one explanation here as well. But perhaps, I don't know, perhaps that choice of active form there was had something else behind it. Perfectly done, though. Perfectly done. Excuse that one. He doesn't boast. Excellent. Now, we also, just to indicate, as I said, I'm not highlighting everything, so I'm not capable of doing that at this lightning speed. Look at this. We've got a lovely future perfect going in with those will forms. Future perfect with a phrasal verb there, a completed action or event or whatever in the future. And a nice use of this word here, some other, this word truly, some other adverbs could be thought about, could be considered here. You notice I've started to speak in a very passive way. It's almost infectious. But here we have, I think, a choice that has been made to reflect the factuality of the situation. Not just really excelled as a sort of intensifier, but confirmation that this is without doubt is excellent. Okay. Very good. Plenty more things in there, I'm sure, I could have mentioned. But on we go. Now. From learning English to foot surgery. Well, I don't know if this is fictitious. Don't know if this is fiction or not. So I certainly don't want to be smiling about anything like this. Only smile at the excellent use here of causative, one of those friends or cousins, whatever, of the passive forms, to have something done. You yourself did not do it. Someone else did it. It was done by someone else. And their surgery would be uncountable, so we need to take that A away. You could say to have an operation on my foot, to have surgery done. Very nice. So why don't I highlight this? Don't get out of the habit. Now, we combine reason with for, the reason for something. And then I know we've got worries, and that's led you to put a plural form, but we need to go back to reason. So the reason was. Then, hypothetically speaking, second conditional, nice. Nice language there. I would not be able to, and that's great to see. Very commonly, the infinitive of can is mistaken for can. So I'm very happy to see that it hasn't been here. It's absolutely correct. I'm slightly distracted. My daughter has just arrived home from school. I don't think she's very happy about it. Oh dear. Now, besides, in addition to, would be sort of synonym for that one, so it doesn't quite go here. We need a contrast. And then all my doubts. All doubts? Perhaps all doubts would be okay if we were thinking about the doubts of the surgeon, the family members, the nearest and dearest in your life. But so far, we're only dealing, I think, with the character I. So my doubts. And this interested me a little bit later on. There's a situation where we don't need this of. I'm just going to rethink this after 6 weeks not being able. I think it's got to be there in this case. We'll look at a similar situation later. And then well, there it is. I'm pretty sure that this has infiltrated the the Dictionary of British English by now, but for me still, laying is a word which needs an object. We have to lay the table, lay the baby in the bed. Very much used in American English. Lay, Lady Lay by Bob Dylan, of course. But I would say lying on the sofa, as I'm British, and I am not Bob Dylan. Even Bob Dylan isn't Bob Dylan. It's not his real name. Now, perhaps in speech marks, indicating direct speech, the bone is not healing as it should. But we're reporting here, so we should have was, because that definitely happened in the past, and it's not applicable to present time. Then here's a key error to eradicate. I wish I would or wouldn't is not possible. So we've got to put. Think of it as being similar to if only I, and then if and would don't go together. If only I hadn't. And then we've got hadn't done. Well, referring back that you're the patient, of course, so you're not the agent here. You didn't do the surgery. You had an operation. You wish you hadn't had the surgery. Then there we are with if only. Splendid with if only. Followed by a consequence of an unreal condition. Perfect. There we go. And then we have very nice, effective passive form. And then, thinking about the past, we can keep is, because this is applicable in the present. If you were reporting, you'd change it to was, but you have that opportunity now to keep is, because it's still true now. Here we've got the, possibly, I don't know, in your native language or languages, you prefer an article rather than possessive. The British are almost alone in preferring the pronouns there, the possessive pronouns. I wouldn't have to worry about my foot anymore. Anymore is fine as one word, fine with me. And just a little tweak here. We are good at something. And therefore we follow up with better, the comparative. So to be better at. I want to be better at listening, for example. Then I wouldn't have had the worst 2 weeks in my life. Yes, this reminds me of the situation in the first or second paragraph where I was wondering whether to put of, and I did, in this case, not necessary at all. But you could have said here, I wouldn't have had the worst 2 weeks in my life because of. Even then, no, because the result of the surgery, perhaps because of, would be okay instead of just about. Definitely, I think you should put some sort of action in here, because that tells you why you had. I'm sorry to say, if it is true, that you had the worst 2 weeks. I think of, to be honest, the worst 2 weeks of my life. Yes, the worst 2 weeks of my life, worrying about the result of the surgery. Well, fortunately, it's all hypothetical for our I character, and everything Everything seems to be fine now, at least at the at time of writing. Everything all fine. Excuse me. I'm just wetting my whistle, we say in... I don't know, almost nobody says this, but it's a very funny way to say I'm having a cup of tea, or a mug of tea in this case. I'm wetting my whistle. Now, very good. Now, I was looking for a way to. The how is not necessary here. Splendid. Tired of is nice. Sometimes we say fed up. Fed up of. If you want a little bit of phrasal verbiage. That doesn't exist, by the way. If you wanted to put a phrasal verb in there, you could. Here we've got a great dedication here. A nice expression as well. A steep learning curve. We talk about a learning curve, but a steep one. You can imagine the difference between a normal one, where you learn at the pace that is suitable to you, perhaps, but then a steep one where someone else chooses the pace. Okay. It's a nice, by the way, a nice expression there, in record time. Now, unfortunately, I'm sorry to say you were promoted. Bad luck. You could have turned it down, of course. You could have refused. Now you've got in my job. Perhaps it's okay. I'll leave it in square brackets. I'm really much more used to this form at work. Although both of them seem a bit redundant, don't they? I was promoted. Well, I suppose you could be in the military or something like that. It's not exactly a job. So, okay. Very, very smooth sentences. Lovely. You've got the comma occasionally and things continue very nicely, very clearly, coherent, cohesive. Very good. And then skipping. Yes, we use this word, of course, to be similar to miss. For me, skipping, I'm not going to change it, but it does have an element of, there should be an element of sort of, what's the word now? Sort of criticism, self-criticism even. If you're skipping something, I don't blame you. I mean, if you don't attend a class because you're, I don't know, on a plane to Milan or wherever, you're not really skipping, not in my book anyway, you're not really skipping the classes. But perhaps there were, of course, some classes that you weren't working. You weren't working at the time of the classes. But so you made a decision, although another hand was guiding the decision. And I like the way you've put this as well. It's still waiting for me. Very nice. Words can make a great difference, the use of words in our approach to things. All right. So now, well, another twist in the story. You've gone from dedication to skipping, and now you're back. You're back, and you can follow the podcasts, definitely. You're not participating in those. They're pre-recorded, aren't they? So you can follow the sequence of podcasts. I would prefer join or take part in the Conversation Club because you're an active listener, definitely, but you also contribute. And that's great. You have this message here. It's evident from the writing. Absolutely. And then we've got nicely done. I wonder, we've had this, haven't we, in 1 or 2, possibly 3 sessions. Very nicely used. I could have made if I had studied. I wonder, but as you say, in a very British way, never mind. Never mind. Great stuff. All right, where are we? We've got time for one more. Yes, we have indeed. And this one will come. Excuse me. My incompetence. Now here, this comes, can be quite an interesting little thing. You can say when, of course. If suggests a condition, are you going to look back or not? So especially in the we haven't looked at the 0 conditional, of course, but it's there, isn't it? If you boil water, if you heat water to 100 degrees centigrade, it boils. You could equally use the word when, and the same goes here. You could use when. Nothing wrong with if. Nothing wrong with if. It means on the occasion that. Now here you've got good use of yet. That's what we need in combination with the present perfect. Terrific. And then what a regret. What a regret mixed in a regret in the past combined with a future consequence, a lovely mixed conditional. I've underlined this because it would be smoother if you reversed these parts. It doesn't make a great deal of difference, but I don't know, to me it didn't sound native enough, so I've reversed it. I think that should be right now. I'm wondering how my current life would be if I had moved abroad. Yes. That's absolutely much smoother. We'll need to remove that. And here's a lovely expression. Who knows? God knows, some people say, when they really want to emphasize that. And another never mind. What was it, in our sessions or not? Very nice. Just like the previous piece. And then we've got that passive form where the agent is really the subject here, me. I made those choices. Is this in the sense that you want to emphasize that no one else bears responsibility for these choices? And we can have that in there. We wouldn't normally, of course. It was made by me, unless we're emphasizing things. So in that sense, we'll leave it in there. And we've got still as well. We used that. We looked at that in another session. Allow me to achieve. You've put my personal goals, my personal ambitions. Something about it that it's not necessary. It's not necessary, but I'll leave it in there in square brackets. Uncorrected. And again, you do have, as I was talking about that, made by me and then my. So, okay, they would go together. They would sort of support each other in the sense that this is an emphatic statement. And you've continued that with 2 more uses of my own business and my fantastic family. Now, strongly, I would say is very much a less common choice of collocation with the word motivated, with highly. Strongly, okay. Obviously, you want to say very, but in another way. Highly motivated is much more common. And then, without this, I'm highly motivated and I'll reach my goal. I think we need to link, because without a sort of reference to the first clause in the sentence, it's not as smooth as it could be. So you could put something in there, like I've offered here. I'm confident that I'll reach my goal of getting an official English, would we say certification? I need certification. I think certificate, would be better, especially because you've got an. And you might be thinking of, what could we say, qualification as well, a qualification rather than a certification. I think the difference, a qualification is something you achieve by studying, and certification has a broader meaning than that. Products need certification, don't they? Films as well. So you could choose qualification or a certificate, because that is indeed the physical, probably downloadable, but eventually physical evidence of success. Fantastic. Oh, let me just remove. There seem to be 2 people watching, so well done to you for watching this. I apologize that I haven't invited anybody in, because this is, of course, the feedback session from a previous session. Very soon indeed, I'll start the live stream with a completely new topic, so don't be confused. Stick around if you're still watching. Okay, so let's go. Idioms next. I'll be there in 25 minutes. Thanks.